Well, I'll say this stuff, but I've obviously, didn't come close to playing good enough football on our side of the ball to give ourselves a chance to win the game, and so that's something obviously we got to analyze. Thought, once again, lack of takeaways reared its head. We talked about takeaways equal victory, and it hasn't applied yet, but it certainly applied today. And we knew we were going to come down this road at some point. And unfortunately, we're going to have to learn a real hard lesson that way. We got to do a better job as coaches. Obviously, start with me.
Alex, you mentioned takeaways. Outside of that, what's the most disappointing thing about this defense?
I thought we lost our composure, and I got to look at myself in that way. What can I do better to put them in whether it's a call or how are we handling on the sideline? Or do you charge them up on the sideline? Do you tell them to relax and stick with it? Whether they need to hear in those moments. But yeah, just the lack of poise, the lack of in the end, not making plays, and so why is that? Again, it always comes back to coaching. Why do you get a couple third down stops early that are negated by penalties? Once again, and again, it's coaching. So we're either we must be allowing that, and so that's something that we got to do obviously a better job of. But no, I'd say poise and ultimately exception, and like I said, it all comes back down to me.
Alex, you've been stoning running games, but today you weren't able to stop them at all, even when you needed to stop them.
Sure.
What went on today?
Well, I think as you look at it, I thought it was maybe spotty early at best, and then I think we really lost trust. And you see it when you don't have 11 guys trusting one to call to each other. Then all of a sudden, what could be a minimal gain or a negated gain, all of a sudden turns into one on the plus side for the opponent. So that was probably the clearest one to me. Are we looking for plays? Are we doing it as coaches? Are we coaching plays? Not our particular calls. Not trusting our rules. But certainly that was one element today.
Alex, when you only bring 3 corners, I know you talk about rotating. You only brought 3 corners today. You lose Parnell the way that you did. I mean, how badly did that hurt?
Well, obviously, from a depth standpoint, first off, nobody cares, how many corners we bring with us. But in the end, we got to respond obviously better. Lost Delarin there as well in the second half, and guys that when their numbers called got to go out there and play, and we got to do a great job preparing them to execute at a higher level. I thought for the most part, and from a secondary standpoint, I think the order of the day was consistently being a step away, consistently. Whether it was a zone coverage concept, whether it was a man coverage concept, we found ourselves in that way, and I'm in charge of it. And so we got to find a way to hold up better.
Did you feel good coming into this
Alex,
game?
Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Did you feel good coming into this game?
Yeah, I think the easy thing for a coach is all of a sudden you go back and say, well, we weren't ready, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, and I think that's low-hanging fruit. I think we prepared this week. We did not perform, obviously, up to our standards, and like I said, it comes back to coaches.
The turnaround that you've executed here previously goes back to winning the line of scrimmage, being the more physical team, being aggressive. How surprised were you as this game was unfolding that you were not the more physical team, especially when Kansas State had the football?
Well, and I think as you look at it, I thought early on, you got a little bit, back and forth action. You got some drives, and obviously offenses are going to have some successful plays in that. And then you had 2 opportunities to get off the field on third down, and when that didn't happen, all of a sudden you look up there and you got 14 points. And again, we'd have more resolve in those moments. We got to have more resolve. It may not go the way that you dialed it up in your head as you walked into the stadium today, and so as you look at it, I thought the physicality kind of waned there. Really between the second, obviously third quarter was poor. And then it kind of we decided to play a football game a little bit late, and obviously it was too little, too late. But no, we got to play more physical. And that's all levels of defense, not just up front.
Did that quick 10-0 lead, you think, I think they had a 3-and-out on their first offensive possession. That provide you guys some false confidence or something like that, maybe?
Well, it's hard to obviously pull what's going on in everybody's brain, but that certainly happens. We got to have more maturity than that, and we got to make sure that we understand that the opponents, they're conspiring against us. They signed up for a 60-minute football game, and no one's going to give in after the first couple drives, and certainly we didn't expect them to. But in any event, you got to police yourself that way, and all things are on deck in terms of the things we got to look to get fixed.
Alex, how did that scheme hurt you guys today? What Kansas State ran? With what Skylar Thompson was able to do with his arm, his legs.
Well, and give them credit. I thought he did a tremendous job making plays. I think obviously confidence gets gained anytime you drop back, and in some of those plays that again early on you got tight coverage and you get to get out jail free card with a penalty. The reality is confidence is even gained from that as a quarterback. And so I thought he played confident. I didn't think we hit him enough. I thought we were close at times early. And what happens is when you don't do that, you start buying some situations, you start buying some plays, you start buying some confident throws and confident play calls from the opposing coaches. And schematically, I think they obviously do a good job. They believe in their system. I talked about at the beginning of the week, not a group of guys coming in here and let's try some new stuff. They've been doing for a long time at their previous stop, but no real challenges. And again, I didn't think we, from a poise standpoint, handled the multitude of things they did very well.
As they're gaining confidence on those plays, you guys are giving up 3rd and 19, 3rd and 16, 3rd and 11, stuff like that. Do you conversely lose confidence as that happens?
Well, I think if you, just as a competitor, you say, what a great opportunity to get off the field. And when you don't, and you look at it, okay, was it man, was it zone, was it blitz, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's all variations of it. It's one man making a play and another man not. And what happens in those scenarios is it advantage us turns very quickly into momentum them. Again, not something that we've had a lot of up until this point, but this particular Saturday, unfortunately, we didn't get it done.
Alex, you
After a
talked
game
real
like
quick
today-
about your advantage turning into their momentum. That drive, first drive of the second quarter, where I think it was a Trey Brown penalty, and then Parnell gets ejected, they score and feel like they're back in the game again. How critical was that?
Well, you always look back and you say it's one play, or it can come down to 3 or 4 plays that, from a momentum standpoint, that can really turn the tide type of deal. And certainly, in the situation like we had today, and then a road game for us, a home game for them, and all of a sudden you have an opportunity to look up the scoreboard and probably pretty excited for them at that stage of the game to feel like one, you've been moving the football, and two, we look like we're crumbling a little bit when you get a type of penalty like that. And so in any event, we got to keep our poise. We got to do a better job as coaches and make sure those things don't happen.
Alex, after a game like today, does the bye week come at a good time, or would you rather play next week?
Well, it is what it is. I mean, we're going to have to sulk here for a while, and then so I guess you got 2 weeks to do that. But nobody's going to feel sorry for you, and we got to pick ourselves up. You want to crawl in a hole, but once you do, you got to pull yourself out. And so we'll find a way to use this week. We're going to use that this week, regardless. One from a defensive standpoint, and two obviously for the next opponent. There's no team in the country that needs to have a great Monday practice, and specific to our side of the ball, we got to make sure that we're correcting the issues and finding a way to do the things we talk about doing, and then do the things that we emphasize in terms of takeaways, stopping the run. And once again, when you get the results, you want to champion yourself and say all is well. It's a one-game evaluation, and so obviously we did a poor job in this particular week, and then big picture stuff is something that we'll analyze later on. But we got to make sure we take advantage of a good week of practice.
Alex, with 4 games without a takeaway, you emphasize that so much. Are you going to have to change anything during the bye week about the way you practice it, or you kind of?
Well, we're going to have to. We're going to have to. And is there a magic bullet to that? Well, if there is one, we're going to find it.
How confident are you that you can fix those things, the takeaways, the tackling, all the problems that showed themselves today?
Well, again, I mean, the problem that shows up today, you know, it's football. There's going to be a missed tackle at times, you know, and have we been a pretty good tackling team up until to this point? Did all of a sudden today, do we have just a rash of missed tackles? I don't know that we did. I don't think we fitted very well. I don't think we're very disciplined. You know, I think that was as much as anything the main culprit, as opposed to, you know, all of a sudden we're falling off of tackles, although certainly that happened at times. No, I think like anything, you know, if one when you don't get the results you want, all of a sudden your confidence is just you know, broken. No, we're frustrated and we're ticked off, and we make no excuses for a lack of performance. But to all of a sudden to say that from a confidence standpoint we're going to go the other direction, that's our responsibility, coach, to make sure we don't lose that.
Alex,
Outside of, you know, you said something about trusting the scheme. Is that kind of what causes, you know, your middle linebackers to overrun a pursuit? I mean, or is it they're using the motion to trick the eyes? Or like what? Or is it a combination of both?
Well, it's a combination of things, and there's no magic. So when I say that, I want to be very clear that it has nothing to do with it was a perfect call, and all of a sudden, no, there is no perfect call. But there's 11 guys that are executing a call, and so when you know 1, 2, 3 guys don't get that done, obviously and especially in the run game, especially when you're talking about the style of play, whether it's a motion or pullers, and some of the multitude of formations that we see those things after. You know, one guy, 2 guys that aren't where they need to be, all of a sudden I think could break on you. And so in any event, so when it really comes down to trust is, you know, I bring that up simply from the standpoint of let's go make a play. You know, things aren't going well, let's go make a play. And how do you make a play? Well, you make the play within what the structure, whatever. You know, again, you can call it something different. You can call whatever call you want. But within the structure of the defense, you got to go make that play, because when you decide not to do your job, who are you asking to do yours? And so that's something that we got to make sure of when the bullets are flying and things maybe aren't going the way you want them to do. We really got to, you know, instead of loosening our grip on techniques, fundamentals, and things you're being asked to do, we got to tighten that thing down, and so we got to do better.
It
Did you
looked
see-
like a lot of their confidence was coming from that I don't know, backside running play where they were getting 20 yards or 15 yards, 11 yards. What was the plan for that? And a lot of it looked like it stemmed from your front line, defensive line movement.
Yeah, I don't know specific to the movement side of things, but you know, what you're describing is a cutback, and that's one of those things that obviously that you know we try to play fast with our backers in a reaction to some of those you know specific plays. And so you know what that frees up is the opportunity to stick the foot in the ground, kind of redirect that way. And so, is there someone there? Yeah, there's someone there, but we got to make sure that we get that individual there obviously sooner. So is some of that scheme, sure that some of that scheme, but also you know it is you know making sure that. When you have that opportunity, when that ball cuts back, that means he had to check his feet in the backfield. That can and should be an advantage for us.
Alex, Lincoln mentioned that the third quarter maybe the players were a little tight because the mistakes were starting to pile up. How did you feel like guys handled that third quarter when things started to really go against you? He said guys didn't loosen up until the deficit got bigger.
Well, and I think that's accurate. I think there's that moment of kind of what's going on, you know, and you think that, well, we'll come out after halftime and, you know, let's make some plays and let's kind of turn the tide to this deal. And then when it doesn't immediately happen, then all of a sudden they say, okay, well, wait a second now. It's going to take more resilience on our part. The adversity hasn't stopped. And there's a lesson there, too, that you know, as much adversity you think you had in the first half, you just wait till the third quarter. And we've been on the other side of that thing where we come out in the third quarter and played very, very well. And so, no, that's as you go through it, you know, one of those things is, you know, making sure don't let anything surprise you from whether it's a momentum play by them. Again, they work hard at what they do. Whether it's the lack of momentum on our part, what you need to do is, again, just you know, put your head down and continue to just keep swinging. And then the unfortunate part, if you do that, maybe we have a different outcome. Maybe the story behind this one's different. But again, as coaches, we couldn't convey that. We couldn't get that across and ultimately get them to execute.
Did you feel like there was some hesitancy sometimes, and just while you kept talking about, again, trust, that maybe the hesitancy cost them to be able to maybe, I guess, get pinned or everything?
Yeah, I got to look at it. I got to look at it specifically to kind of determine, You know, are we a step late, you know, as you described, from a hesitant standpoint, or, you know, are we staring at the football, not you know, where we're, you know, our eyes specifically belong, and, you know, we you know, not communicating the right way. So pre-snap, you know, you got some indecision. You know, again, going back to trusting the guy next to you that he's going to give you the right communication. And again, when you get a little bit out in the second, that changes some of those things. And again, as long, if we tell them if we're all wrong, we're all right. You know, so as long as we're all on the same page, executing our that particular call, then we'll have a chance to be you know, successful. And I think there's a couple times in particular where I don't think we were very sound that way.